Hi y'all, this is Phil with High Tech Legion, and we're going to be looking at Camtasia. This is a video editing software from TechSmith. It's available both for Mac and PC. First thing you see when you open up Camtasia is the welcome window. We have a record the screen button and import media button, and a section over here for tutorials and some training documentation and stuff down here. We'll be covering the record the screen section in another video, so now I'll just click import media to open a new project. I'll select some video files, and here we go. A little bit about the interface. You have your standard menus up here. Then you have record the screen, import media, produce and share. Produce and share is the last topic we will cover in this video. Down here we have our clip bin. This is where all the media that's in our video or to be used for our video will get stored. Over here we have a preview so that we can watch our videos and stuff and see how things are turning out. And then down here we have our timeline. This is where most of the work and most of the magic happens. To make it work, the first thing you do is pick the clip that you want, drag it down onto the timeline. Once you drag onto the timeline, the editing dimensions window will pop up, and just go ahead and pick the resolution you want. If one doesn't show up, then you probably want to go to use one of these automatics if you don't know much about resolutions and stuff. These will be changed to automatically adjust to optimize the output video for whatever resolution you're using, so to minimize black bars and whatnot. Alright, there's also this background color here. This is what will show if you don't have any other video source. This is what will show. So you can see we can change it to black, and the reason it's showing right now is because the video is not snapped to the very beginning of the timeline, which is where this cursor is at. So let's just set it back to black and click OK. Now let's talk about the cursor. You see here this guy, as I drag it wherever it's pointing to in the video, that's what will be on the preview over here. You notice these green and red tabs. If you need to select a section of the video, you click on one of the tabs and drag to wherever you need the video to go. If you happen to click on the other side, drag the red over to the left, it'll automatically switch them later when you let go. Editing the video is fairly simple and straightforward. To edit the video, we can, there's several options. We have a cut option. If by chance you have a selection as I have now, the cut will cut that one chunk out of the video. See how it kind of looks like you have stitches down here? So what you wind up with is a video where suddenly, if you notice, like the little red car in the top left suddenly disappears. So let's undo that. If by chance you also happen to have, if you don't have a section of the clip, you just have one clip selected and you click cut, the whole thing will be gone from the timeline. If you click the split, you wind up with two things here. And what the cut does when you have a selection, it actually makes two splits based on where your cursors are on the selection, and then it cuts out the middle and then brings the two pieces together and stitches them together. So if you see here, I can click these two and then go ahead and I click group. Now those two are in a group and you can move them around together. Or it does this here, stitch selected media, and you wind up and you can see here again the stitch thing. So really it's a shortcut for a much longer process. The other way you can edit your video is to place the cursor to the point in the video which you want to remove. So I'll place it up to there, and then you go over to the edge of your clip and drag it over to your cursor, and it'll snap in place on your cursor. Now I'll do the same for the end of the video. Grab the end of the video, snap it over to the cursor, and voila, I just trimmed off about 3 minutes worth of video very quickly and easily. So those are the basics of doing video editing. You also have a copy button here, so it's kind of simple. Again, if I do a split and select one of them, do copy and then paste, it'll put it up here and wherever the cursor is on the next track. Or for example, if you move it to a part of the track where there is nothing else and you paste it, it puts it on the lowest numbered track where there is nothing placed in the way. When you're dealing with multiple tracks, we'll show you something again. Paste that again, or copy it and paste it. I'll move it all the way down here. If you notice here, the car is in front of the green cones. If I go and I scroll all the way down, you notice that when I get to this guy that's on the second track, once again, we can see the green. Camtasia's way of handling tracks is that it shows whichever one is on top. So what this gives us to do is later on I'll show you how you can make a video transparent, and then you can see the video in track 1 underneath the video of track 2. It does not work the same for audio. When you have two audios over each other on different tracks, they get merged together. Alright, now let's take a look at the library. This is a collection of files such as audio and video effects, which are included with Camtasia. You see here we have like titles, call-up themes, and other stuff. So let's go ahead and grab this little intro here and pop that into track 2. And you see how we have, see how it kind of overlaps track 1. I'm going to go ahead and drag track 1 over, and you see it snaps in place. So let's add something here like a little title. Just grab the basic title from under the theme setting and put it in here in track 1. Again, grab the ends and spread it out so that it matches up with the start of the video and the start of the car racing. Alright, I'll move the cursor over, and if you pay careful attention, when I zoom in, you'll see that we can, you can see there's a bit of a fade effect there, and that's what this guy and this guy over here are. I'll talk more about transitions a little later. So what we wind up with here is we have this little text box and whatnot. So let's go ahead and double click there. Now we can type stuff in. Alright, and you can see the little G gets cut off. That's simple to fix. You just grab this guy here and drag it down. The way this actually works, if you look down here, is that we have an expanded thing going on here. It's actually two pieces. You have a JPEG and a square-filled rectangle. This square-filled rectangle is actually a callout. It is the text simple rectangle callout that has a white background and text added to it. And you can do various other interesting things with the callouts that we have. So for example, let's go ahead and go over here in the video to where the cones are, and let's grab another callout. Let's go with this one here, sketch motion oval. Go ahead and just double click, or let's do add callout, and you see there it is. Now the neat thing about the callouts is they have this draw time and fade out. So if you change this draw time to about 1.5 seconds, and then I scroll inside, you can see it actually draws the circle on the screen, which is kind of neat. Alright, so let's go ahead and undelete some of that video there. Alright, so we have this draw here. I'm going to go ahead and move it around this one green traffic cone up there. So what you wind up with is, play it slowly, the traffic cone ends up being circled. Alright, and that's kind of neat. So what I'm going to do next, and you can do that with all these different things, and there's kind of neat here, keystrokes and stuff. You can put keystrokes on the board and you type. So here if I hit the A key, it'll tell you that I'm pressing the A key on the screen. Or if I do backspace, control plus T or control C or whatever it might be, it detects that and it shows, allows you to display key combinations on screen. So let's go ahead and set that call out back to the oval. Put it there, scrunch it back down again. Alright, now I'm going to show you how the zoom and pan works. And this is really probably one of the key features with Camtasia, because it allows you to zoom in on a screen. And this is used mostly with things like the screen capture. So what we'll do here is, in order to use this, it might be a little bit tricky. What you want to do is you want to zoom in on your video using the slider up here. Select the point where you want to be when the zoom effect is done. And then go ahead and on the video zoom here at the top left, change the image to the part that you actually want to see and zoom in on it. Okay? Now if you look down here, you'll see a little blue arrow has formed. And that blue arrow detects, shows you where the zooming is going to start and end. That's what this little dot here means. You can stretch out the zoom to make it take longer or shorter. So let's go ahead and put the zoom like that. And what you wind up with when we play the video is this. After we zoom out, it zooms in on the traffic cone. Now that we zoomed down on the traffic cone, but we want to go ahead and look at the other traffic cone. So we'll place the cursor somewhere else in the video, and we'll go ahead, move the screen over here, let's select over there to the other traffic cone, and voila, another arrow has showed up pointing to the other cone. Let's go ahead and shorten that real quick. Alright, there we go. And let's go ahead and watch it again. So that guy gets circled. And the thing is, and Camtasia is smart enough to apply the zooming in to the other effects on the screen. If you do but in order for that to happen, you have to apply the zooming in effects after you have applied all the other things. You always want to do the zoom in effects last. Now, problem is, if you don't readjust it, it'll stay at this zoom level for the rest of the video, and obviously that's not going to play very nicely. So you need to just pick another spot and do the zoom out. So pick a spot and go over here to the scale media to fit entire canvas button, and voila, it'll put another zoom motion in. So that, now let's watch the whole thing. Circles it, zooms back out, and look at that. That's so easy to use. It's very intuitive and simple. Next up is dealing with audio. Give you a little example. So here in the little opening spot, we have some music. Hold on a sec. Let's fix this guy back to text. Fill with white and black. Okay. So there we go, fixed. Zoomed out. Alright, so let's look at audio. Now, if we go here and we just, play it, we have that fading out, and then, oh my goodness, that is horrible. Absolutely horrible. That is the sound of the little red car you saw before, because the thing sounds like it's, I swear, the engine in the thing had to be a chainsaw. So let's take a look at some of the audio effects that we have. And immediately I see here this enable noise removal. The volume leveling is just to help bring the volume down. So if I do that, it'll, if you notice, it just kind of normalized the audio on this track. So that's pretty simple to use. But the noise removal one is a little bit more difficult to use, because it has to analyze the video to see what to remove. See, now if I just go with the default sensitivity of 50, what you wind up with It's still kind of noisy. It's not as bad, but it's still pretty noisy. The only problem is that if we turn it up too high, you wind up losing other sounds. For example, there you can hear the engine of the car, and you can still kind of hear the tires squealing. If I turn this guy all the way up to, say, 75, let's go back to where the tires are squealing. You can't even hear the tires squeal anymore, and that's if you turn these sensitivities up too high, you wind up removing good information along with the bad information. So you have to be careful to find a balance. There's a button here for auto noise training. I'll just go ahead and click that and let it analyze the sound file. And let's give it a play again. And you see it's still pretty noisy. So we'll just put that at about 45, and we'll say it's probably pretty good. You probably noticed that on the intro, it's really loud very suddenly. We have here a fade in button. And click that, and you look down here, and you can now see the audio is going to come in much softer. And there it comes in nicely. Likewise, the fade out does the same thing on the other end. If we go ahead and click fade out, it does the same thing over here, except in reverse. And we have a silence button, which if you do click a track, it'll silence the whole track. But if you do a selection, it'll just do that section. Now notice these little dots on the audio here. What you can do is you can actually click on one of those dots and drag it around to do what you want. And you can see the video change as you do that. So you can really customize your audio very nicely and very easily with this feature. And now we also have, you can add your own audio points one at a time. So right there, add one. It's right there, add one. And I can bring this down. Now, you have to be careful because, as you can see here, I just modified the whole audio for like half the video in one go. So you got to be a little careful about how you use these things. If you want to bring it down temporarily, it's not 1 point. You're going to need at least 3 points in order to modify just a single section of the audio. So you bring this, add another one in the front, bring it up to about 100, and there you go. Now you have just this little section to modify the audio in. If you want to get rid of a point, you can either right click on just the one to delete, or you can select a section of it and click on the remove audio points button to get rid of a bunch. Remember, it won't, but I believe if you select multiple, it'll do everything in there. So it removed all the audio points in all the tracks, not just for the one track that we had selected at the time. Alright, so that's audio transitions and stuff for us. Let's go ahead and get rid of this .2 so our audio isn't ruined. Silence, I showed you that already. Let's go ahead and look at transitions. Transitions are kind of neat because that's what we have here in the basic title. I'll zoom in on that, and you see a fade here. So where the fade starts, what I can do is I can drag the fade and make it last a very long time, or I can make it very short and very quick. And there are a bunch of different fades. If you have, for example, say if you have multiple videos, let's do a little paste here real quick. We can zoom out. Let's paste another one in here in the middle of the track. Actually, let's go back and make it easier. Let's take that one out. Let's put in a totally different video. Just right there. And with your transitions, you can apply them 3 ways to a video. So this gradient wipe, you can apply it to both videos like that. You can apply it to just the intro of one or just the exit of another, and they apply different ways. So I'll set these gradient wipes up, the 3 gradient wipes up, so you can see what happens here. So So I'll go ahead and go over here and hit play and watch what happens. You get to the video, the gradient wipe, you can see it resets back to the start line. The video runs again. We get to another gradient wipe here, and it goes from the one that's running here to the one that's here. And at the end of this video, we have a gradient wipe out to the one underneath. So the transitions are pretty easy to use, and you have dozens of different things that you can use for the transitions. Under the more, we have other stuff. Cursor effects. I'll show you this in the screen record, the screen capture video. Visual properties. This is kind of neat. You can adjust certain things in the video, such as scaling it. So let's go ahead to one of these guys, and let's put our cursor here in the middle of it, and let's scale it down. So you can kind of see what's going on here, and it'll even scale inside of the gradient. So it's just that one part in the middle of the screen is getting scaled. We also have opacity, so you can see just part of the video. Let's put that so you can see one video through the other. You can drag it around after you scale it. You can use shadows. So let's put the opacity all the way up so you can see the shadow like that. You can change the portion of the shadow wherever it goes. You can change how much you can see through the shadow, and you can make the edges sharp or really, really blurry. There's also a neat colorize over here. So let's go ahead and turn the shadow off. Colorize. You can add whatever tint you want to the video. Border. You can add a border to the video like that. And then there's also remove a color. And this one's kind of cool because let's say I pick this shade of blue. Now let's go ahead and scale this image back up. Oops. Alright. So general, let's reset it. Okay, so now that one's back to being the full image. So we want to go and we want to colorize. Let's get rid of the gradient wipe there. Just click on it and then press the delete key. And as you can see, the hood of the car is looking a bit weird. Well, let's go ahead, turn the tolerance down, and most of the hood comes back. Let's turn the tolerance up, and what this is doing is it's saying, well, if you turn the tolerance to 0, it only picks out exactly that color to become transparent. If you slide it up, then it kind of adds a range around that color to also become transparent, and you can see eventually the only thing that's really left behind is red. Softness, kind of adjust the whole thing as far as transparency, and starts with the blue. Hue adjusts, basically replaces some of that blue that I picked with a green. And defringe starts with the blue, and again is through kind of the same application as the tolerance. You go out and out, and things, more and more colors become gray until the only thing left is colors that have absolutely no blue in their color spectrum. Alright, after visual effects, we have, let's see, cursor effects, transitions, voice narration. So I can start talking, and as I start talking, it'll record it. Now when I hit stop, it'll automatically, if I save it somewhere, I'll just save it as example audio record, save it, yes, and it pops it right into the next track, right where the cursor was when I started the recording. And you can see it's also automatically added over here in the clip bin. For the record camera, it's the exact same thing. So you can see me waving to you there. It works the exact same as the audio record. Captions, again, place your cursor wherever you want and start typing, and you can see a caption pops up on the screen. So let's go ahead and and if you add a new caption at the end of the old one, you get that. If you click plus add caption media, it adds another track record on top of all that. And once again, as before, whichever one is on top, that's the one that will show. So if you see here, let's change this guy ABCD, EFGH, IJKL. Okay, so as you can see, whichever one on top, that's the closed captioning which shows up at the time, just like with regular videos. And again, you can change the font and the text size and everything up here. Thing to note about captions is that the closed captioning ability only works within the Camtasia media player, and I'll talk more about that later when I go into the produce. That's that. Okay, so quizzing. Again, this is something that only works with the Camtasia's specific video player. So, and the quiz is pretty easy to add as well. You just click add quiz, and when someone gets to that point in the video, if they're using the Camtasia video player, they will be presented with the option to take a quiz. We'll pause the video and they can, or it won't pause the video, it'll pop up inside the video and they can interact with the quiz. So you want to add various questions. You just go down here, question, change it. You want to add a question, just go there ahead, type in more. You need to click on the question you want to add answers to, just check the box, start typing, press tab, and start typing the next answer, and again tab and the next answer. The quizzes are pretty simple and easy, and you can set it up so that responses will get emailed to you if you want them to. Alright, now that we have covered pretty much all the functions of Camtasia except for the recording your screen, let's go ahead and produce our video. So you click the produce button and you have several options. You can have it compile the video and just post automatically to screencast.com or YouTube. You can have multiple options to just produce the MP4 with a video player, and then you also have an option to do custom production settings. If we just do MP4 only, we get, and you click next, you get a warning saying that quizzes, hotspots, captions, and table of content using markers and whatnot cannot work with only a video. You have to have all the other Camtasia stuff to go along with it for those things to work, which makes sense because you can't have those things in a raw video file. Anyway, you click OK and you're presented with a thing to name your production, and I'll just call it HTL Camtasia Overview and Tutorial. And then that's a fine folder, and now I would click finish. I'm going to go ahead and click back so I can walk you through the so if I go here with the video player and I click next, we don't get that warning because it's going to produce the Camtasia video stuff. And I'll show you more about that later. And now we have the custom production settings. Go ahead and click next, and we have recommended as MP4 Flash HTML5 player. It's going to produce an MP4 video that uses H.264 video encoding and AAC audio encoding. These are pretty much the standards you want to go with nowadays, as they offer you the best compression and quality that you're going to get with smallest file sizes. WMV, MOV, M4V, all the other options here, you really only want to use them if you're doing something that is device specific or operating specific or something like that, or you have some other motivation to use something besides MP4. For example, AVI, if you're going to be using this on devices that do not support MPEG-4, go ahead and do AVI. That will give you the best backwards compatibility and standalone player compatibility. So, but we're going to go ahead with MP4 and click next. You don't really have to change much here unless you want to change how the Camtasia media player looks. So we'll just go ahead and size. You see here that the video is set for 800 by 600. I actually want to go ahead and click cancel down here. I actually want this to be 1280 by, get rid of that, 720. Okay, there we go. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and click cancel because I need to fix this so that my video and such are displaying in 720. We want some kind of a standard resolution. The embed size, that again is for the Camtasia player only. Video settings. This is kind of important. You want your frame rate at 30. You want bitrate. The higher your bitrate, the higher the quality. But beyond a certain point, it doesn't matter. Since this is only 720p, there's really no reason at all to go with a 20,000 bitrate. You probably want something more around 2500, unless you're doing like Blu-ray quality 1080p video, professional movies quality video. There's really no reason to go all the way up to 20K. So we'll just go to 2500. And then for maximum compatibility with various devices, especially ones which have hardware accelerated decoding, you want to select H.264 high and the H.264 4.1 profile and level. This way, something like a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360 should be able to play the files. Audio settings, again, like I said before, it's AAC. Bitrate, in my video, there's no reason to go beyond 128 kbs because of the initial capture quality. But if you're doing something with very high fidelity, such as music, you probably want to go for a higher bitrate. I'll just leave it as is. Next, our options here, we can just leave them as is. Caption type, see how it says under video captions? That adjusted this size here. When if I change it, closed captions there to it should be actually 480. Oh well. Closed captions. So this is if you choose closed caption, then in the Camtasia's media player that's provided when you click produce, you can look at closed captions. You can turn them off and whatnot. With if you go with burn-in captions, they'll permanently be part of the video. And if you go with under video captions, it's the same story as closed captions, but they will be displayed in a black bar underneath the regular video within the embed mode. Okay, just go ahead and click next. Video info, this is where you can set stuff like a title, like a Camtasia tutorial, and then author information, high-tech legion, whatever. Watermark, we include watermarks on our videos. Reasons you might want to do it is to deter plagiarism by other people, or just so that if anyone looks at the video, they can instantly recognize that, hey, this was done by high-tech legion. It's really simple to do. Just click the options, choose your image, and with these things down here, you're allowed to move it around. The reason why this one is kind of weird to move around is because the base image is 1280 by 720, so with this tucked in the corner. If you just had this image, if I just had a base image like this, or it's just the image itself, you could move it anywhere around on the screen if you wanted to. And there's other options like emboss, so that it's kind of more like a water effect in a regular watermark. We're just going to go ahead and leave it like that and click next. This has to do with another Camtasia specific thing, specifically the quiz. If you want to get the results, you can get an email so that people can send the results there, or it will automatically send the results to you. And then this is a data gathering, SCORM is a data gathering service. So go ahead and click next. We don't need those for this. Production name, again, Camtasia Review. And then put it wherever you want. Upload FTP, that's so you can directly upload it to your website. And down here we have a list of all the files that will be created. The video itself is this one, HTL Camtasia Review.mp4. All these others here are Shockwave and HTML5 files, so that you can just copy it to a directory on a website, and it should be able to work right away. So now we're ready to, I'll show you the FTP interface by clicking finish. And you just put your server, port, and whatnot in, log in so you can upload directly to your FTP. I'll click cancel, uncheck FTP, finish, and now it's rendering. Rendering time depends upon how much video you have to render. It depends on how many effects you have, how much audio, if you're scaling the images and whatnot, if you're applying any other kind of effects and stuff. Those are going to drastically alter your encoding time. Most important is how much you actually have to encode. We're encoding less than 2 minutes of video, so this will be done in a couple minutes. The computer I'm using is not very high-end. This is a 7-year-old rig with a Intel Core 2 Quad Q6600, so it's going to take a little longer, about twice as long to encode as we have video. With a newer rig, it should encode faster than how long the video is that I'm encoding. So I'll be back once this guy is finished. Alright, we're back. The video is almost done recording. Alright. And now Camtasia is going to open up the video preview. And here you see it's opening up my browser, which is taking me to the HTML file, which has the code for the video. If you look at the code source, it's actually pretty, it's fairly simple HTML, so you could copy and paste most of this into an existing web page without much effort to add a video to your own website. We have, so if I go ahead and click play, so we have here, this is the, because I told it to put the subtitles or the captions on the bottom, we're going to see them down here. Oh, there we go. Subtitles should show up pretty soon. There we go. And see, the Camtasia thing has a little quiz thing. So we can take the quiz now, and you can answer it, and go to the next, blah, blah, blah. Next, submit answers, and there you go. If you set it up, the answers will get emailed to you, and so now we can continue watching the video. Record it. And there we go. Alright, so that's it for the video. And again, here we have a summary of all the things that are included in the production of the video. It's about 1:45 long, and it's the video itself is 34 megabytes, which is not bad for a minute and a half for a high definition video. And you can open the production video itself. Again, the MP4 is the one you want. If you're doing something other than, if you're not going to use the actual Camtasia stuff. And we'll go ahead and finish. So there you go. And as you can see down here, this is looking, our video project, you know, this is a fairly simple, not a lot to it, and our video project already is looking pretty crazy. And this is why you need something like Camtasia with a good timeline to get it done. As you saw, most of the controls were pretty intuitive. There really wasn't a whole lot of explanation that was needed. The things were pretty well self-explanatory. And there's little hover over tips on everything within the user interface. So guys, this has been a High-Tech Legion's review of the Camtasia Video Studio. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to our videos on YouTube, and make sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and say hello on our forums, and see more reviews at www.hightechlegion.com. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.